Hey, good morning.
Hey, Puff.
Short week for you this or short week? Are you gonna be in working?
Sorry?
Is it a short week for you or are you gonna be working?
I wouldn't be working Thursday, Friday, but rest
I
of
mean,
the
most
days.
people are taking up.
Yeah, I mean, if this is a small meeting, I'm happy to skip. If we
Yeah,
don't
I mean,
need to, then
let's see. I'm not sure what we have to talk about. Let's see.
I do have a demo that I have to give next Monday, so I'm scrambling for stuff this week.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Did you talk to Santiago for submitting? Did you guys finish
yeah,
that or
yeah.
what
I
happened?
think he said he'll submit one with Soham.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
Because it was Sunday, right? The deadline. I had to ping Mihai. I was like on yesterday night at like 9. I was like 9 Eastern. I was like, hey, you never submitted our thing. So then he got it submitted.
Uh,
Uh,
I'm surprised they didn't extend the deadline. It sounds like something
huh?
they would do. I'm surprised they didn't extend the deadline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey everyone, good morning.
Hey, morning.
Yeah, I got
Power out again? What happened?
I have in-laws visiting. So I'm in a closet in the dark. Not really a closet, but yeah, hiding.
I've done that before. The ticket calls from a closet. Yeah, let's see. I mean, this Mihai's gonna join a little bit late, he said. Do we have any open topics? Oh, nothing go. Have you guys heard of rest? Post rest? Yeah.
Post rest that
Yeah. Post
post people
rest.
have naming issues, dude.
So apparently, I haven't tested this out yet, but basically, based on your Postgres schema and your database, it'll create a RESTful API on top of it for you.
Oh, just like a CRUD type API.
Yeah, mostly CRUD, and then you can pass it in custom queries also on your REST API if you
That's
wanted to.
cool.
So I was like, oh, this could add a you know big lift for us on the GUAC side pretty easily. Again, I haven't tested it, but something that just came to my attention. I'm not sure
This
how
is
well it
cool
would
though.
work.
Oh,
It might be worth like
seems like
checking out, trying it.
yeah, seems pretty well established.
Oh yeah. I think it has like 25,000 stars or something. I can make an issue for it.
Well, there's a Reddit post on this. It's gotta be interesting. Uh, A lot of them seem to be using this thing called Supabase.
Super what?
Supabase. Open source Firebase. Oh, okay. It's just a database. Never mind. Uh, Seems to be mixed reviews. But that's expected.
Oh, all don't know, create an issue at least, and then like investigate and see if it's worth using.
Sounds good.
I mean, yeah, nothing else so far. I think, what was it? Reviews. Oh, PRs. So, oh, go ahead, Jeff. Did you have something?
I was gonna say for the conference stuff, yeah, so I submitted the one with Ben from Armo for KubeCon EU. Also, this weekend is the deadline for most of the dev rooms for FOSDEM. I think Ben Cotton wants to do like a general GUAC one for there's a security dev room. So I don't know if he'd be looking for a co-presenter there or not. But there's also the SBOM dev room, which I'm planning to submit something without GUAC, like with protobomb and clearly defined. But I don't know if anybody has anything new there. I tried to submit one there last year and it didn't get accepted. So
I don't
just
think
bringing
we've
that up.
ever presented guac at all in FOSDEM, right?
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
So
Could be interesting to do just like an intro one, which I guess that's what Ben's looking
yeah,
at, right?
yeah, the security dev room specifically mentioned like securing open source supply chain security, So I thought, hey, this is pretty good match. But yeah, the SBOM dev room seems like a good fit, but like I said, they didn't get accepted last year, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't try again. I don't know if it should just be generic or should just be something about SBOMs.
I'm wondering whether like I feel like you could submit the same KubeCon runtime talk for the FOSDEM one.
For security dev room,
For the SBOM dev room.
for the SBOM dev room. Yeah.
Because we are kind of like doing the SBOM runtime. How do you use runtime SBOMs versus build time SBOMs?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, could I've my takeaway for the FOSDEM stuff is it's like definitely it's like not very cloud native focused, and it's more like grassroots type stuff. But
Yeah.
things like specifications and anything that's like real generic or widely applicable makes sense. I don't know. So I guess I'm not going to submit that to the S1 dev room, but if anybody else wants to do that's fine too. Or like runtime SBOMs, if you wanted to like say like using GUAC to digest or compare runtime and build time SBOMs and things like that. Maybe make it not so Kubernetes or cloud native focused, but just say like this is what the topic of the talk is, and what so happens that we're going to analyze cluster runtime stuff. But the point of it would be like yeah, comparing and discussing the different types and what they're good for and things like that.
Yeah, I think in my mind that's more of like how do you use like what do you do with the SBOMs plus also maybe like a Vex story around that.
Hmm. Hmm.
Oh, actually the AI stuff would be interesting there as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of dev
Because
rooms.
no,
And they're
because
in
like
this spot.
I'm thinking about the SBOM death room, right? Because like AI bomb is definitely an interesting thing that people are trying to figure out how to create, right? I think that's what part of it behind you guys
Yeah.
covered.
Yeah, that's what our talk is gonna be. Generating AI bombs from cell stations and stuff.
I'll speak of the devil. We're just talking about the AI talk behind.
Oh, just in time.
Yeah, because I know behind you've dropped by and do like the SPX call on the AI bomb stuff, right?
Yes.
We were talking about false and deaf room and whether that's do you think they'd be interested in that?
I think so. So, from my understanding, them were also more interested in SBOM too. So, I think it would make sense to try to submit it there too. Also, for the talk for KubeCon, I edited the description to mention AI bomb several places. So, also point to that.
Do you want to submit something for Possum? I guess it's the same talk, right? So you don't have to do too much.
When is the deadline? I'm out of office from tomorrow until mid of December.
Uh, Jeff, was it next week? So it's a
Yeah, I
deadline.
think.
Yeah, December 1st for most of them, I believe, which is next Sunday. So we got a week.
So, if it's the same proposal that we had for KubeCon, we can submit that. Otherwise, maybe I'll work with Part to find something else to write today.
For Fosdem?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like you can copy and paste it. I think that should be
Copy and
fine.
paste. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Like also like I for what I know of like the SBOM dev room or dev rooms in general, it's kind of like I think people already know what the people reviewing it kind of um know what it is and know you and like, so I don't think it is that much of a as critical that we get the wording like as tight as KubeCon where there's a bunch of reviewers that may not know you and may not know the topic.
Okay. Yeah. Then let's do that. Let's copy paste and submit.
Let me get the 2025.
So there's also, there's also a Go dev room and a Postgres dev room. I think either one of those might be interested in a case study / lessons learned of building GUAC and all the stuff that we've done, putting GraphQL into Postgres and using Ent, and that's like it seems like stories about open source using open source is what people are interested in, not so much like project pitches or tutorials. Again, that's not super valuable, I guess, for us to try to propose or maybe worth our time. But if anybody is interested. That might be something to propose as well.
I'm looking at the CFP for the fall summit. It looks like I could give my KubeCon talk from EU this year as well. I'm trying to find the apply button, the CFP button. Is Alyssa interested in any of that? I guess the Postgres one you're talking about.
I haven't talked to him.
Yeah. I think I'll submit one to the SBOM track as well with Marco maybe on the I guess more on like the Google SBOM's use case, and then plus can probably weave in some of the GUAC stuff as well. Cool. I have a question. Have you guys seen this thing called Healar? Heelar?
Send a link.
It's some startup that claims to do like supply chain crafting.
Where is this?
Um,
Send it.
I'll put it in chat. Bob shared this with me.
It's a company.
It's a company.
Hmm.
I requested a demo from them tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna see what they have.
Oh, yeah. Let us know.
Yeah. Cool.
Did we have to get the PR merged? Jeff, I think the PR you have opened.
Oh. I need to do something.
I don't know why the tests are failing. You might have to rebase, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that.
And then I can just rebase on top of yours and get my thing merged in. So let's get that one merged.
Is the
And
CI
then
is the CI still failing?
no, I think it has to rebase. I think it's fine now. And then for the additional metadata for vulnerabilities from OSV, I see your point about the timeline. So the timestamp, right? That you're talking about, it's gonna create new nodes every single time it's run, right? Even if it's the same thing, because it's using time now. But should it be a different time? Can it be a time from the server like OSV provides?
I think this is a little bit like the identifier issue, which is like it's kind of like I know what the severity. I don't exactly have a timestamp for it. Like somewhere down the road, someone may ingest information from the OSV entry, right? And then that will say, okay, I had this call at this time.
I see. That's what you want.
I
So
think
basically, we should be
maybe
deleting.
now, yeah.
I think we need to delete data, basically. Delete old entries. Time goes on. For vuln metadata also then.
I was just thinking of having the time be 0, like just null it out.
So it wouldn't recreate, you mean?
Yeah.
In that case, it wouldn't recreate, right?
Yeah, so this is like I know that this thing has a severity. I don't know when it was, and then like future scans will also. I don't think it makes sense like that. To have that data on the bundle itself. If we want to get the scan information, scan time information, we could get that from the bound certified bound node.
I see. Yeah. Okay, so let's zero it out then. Let's just make a comment. You want to make a comment there?
Yeah. Which PR was this been?
It's 2219.
2219.
Yeah, so let's just do that, and then we can approve it after that. But I think that makes the most sense. Okay, let's get that one merged. And is there anything else? Get those other things. Get the CI stuff merged. Address flakiness of the API. Is that one good? Oh yeah, that one's good. So we can merge 2306 also.
Sorry, I'm typing out the response, so I'm.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, sorry. Which PR do you say is ready for merging?
2306, I just approved it.
Okay, cool.
Okay. Yep.
This looks good. The tilt CI is still failing, I think.
I think we should remove till CA. I don't know it's there. Just remove it. It's not a required check anyways. Like, is it actually giving us anything?
Make sure the tilt cell, like it actually like runs everything on the cluster, right?
Yeah, so I guess it makes sure that
The deployment
nothing's
doesn't break.
breaking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Okay, so
Uh,
leave it for now then.
can we
6-door.
set it as optional? The end-to-end
It
test
is
is
optional.
still, it is optional.
Yeah, it's not required.
Yeah, if you don't
so
see a
you
required there,
Yeah, so we can merge it. I mean, it merges by itself if everything all the other tests pass.
Okay, so this one is failing because the end-to-end tests are failing.
Which one is that?
Looking at the most recent PR.
Improved testing.
Yeah. Failed to get version key.
I think it might be a race condition thing on that one.
Doesn't look like it though, right? Failed to get version key, the following error. Unknown insight system Alpine. Where's this error message from? I mean, it's in no code. It looks like an escape issue. Let me share my screen. This looks weird. It's a weird thing we're getting back from depths of death.
Oh, I think that's not an error.
Oh,
That's
this
just
one
an info.
now.
No,
Oh,
it's just
okay.
an info. Yeah.
I'm
I'm pretty sure it's a race condition thing.
wait,
It tries a lot of
what's
logs.
the actual failure then?
I think it's by going to running queries, search for, oh, let me see what end-to-end shows.
you might not see that because the log got truncated.
Search for, where'd it go?
Do you put it in chat?
Yeah, I'll put in chat here. I think this, search for that, and that's where the error should occur. For the query side, usually. Running queries and validating input. Yeah, so if you scroll down here, there should be two of those. Oh, there's only one. Interesting.
Two of what? Oh, they already passed it.
No, keep going. You're fine.
Okay, go on. Okay. Running ingestion command.
Yeah, I mean, we can take a look after. Just leave it. It's fine.
I mean, I think it's just yeah. Oh yeah, it's truncated.
Yeah.
Wait, download the food logs from the. Okay, yeah. Oh yeah, I think I see it. There we go. I expect legal. So it's a clearly defined thing. Oh shit, I'm not trying. Sorry.
It's clear to find against.
Yeah, I think it's this one. Why is this failing? It's clearly defined as flaky.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
It's not the most consistent. It's just the service doesn't respond sometimes.
Should we change the like? Is it flaky in terms of like it doesn't respond at certain times of the day, or just like within 10 queries, like one of them will drop? So like if we just retry it, will it actually work?
It does retry. Depends on the
Okay,
status message. It'll retry it.
and that still fails.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just the service sometimes doesn't respond. Like if it's like, oh yeah, the server timeout. Like if it times out, like it. Okay, well, so it retries if it hits a rate limit. It doesn't retry otherwise. Right. So we could get it to retry on everything. We don't currently. That could help.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Right
if
now
we
it's
don't,
like
if we get a 500, it doesn't retry.
it doesn't. No, it checks. I think 504 or whatever the the rate limit error code is. It looks for that, and if it sees that error code, then it's going to retry. Otherwise, it doesn't retry. So you could change that and make it retry on everything.
There'll be change in the HTTP client, right?
No,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah. HashiCorp has a retriable HTTP client that seems to work.
Okay. Should we create an issue for that fix?
yeah.
Yeah, then if that works, then we can re-enable the unit test as well.
Well, the unit tests are now mocked out. So
Yeah.
Robert,
Oh, you
already,
mocked it up? Okay.
yeah, he already mocked it out, so we're good on those.
Nice.
So those won't fail. So now it's just the end to end.
Yeah, like I wonder if we should have 3 test levels, one for unit tests, one for integration that like starts a database and brings up a GraphQL server, et cetera, and then end to end is like the only thing that like will reach out to external services or something like that.
I guess the integration one is our, the database ones, right? Those are all integration ones because they spin up the actual database. They don't go to outside services, but
Well, we
they
have a
spin up the
number
database.
of tests tagged integration. If you run Go test that do things like go to GitHub and expect there to be like GUAC data docs and things
Oh
like that.
yeah.
And anything like this with OSV clearly defined could be taken out. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay. So Pav, are you going to create that issue? Do you want to take that up?
Sure, yeah, I'll create an issue.
Okay. if we are done with PRs, I kind of want to talk a little bit about contributor ladder stuff as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any thoughts on folks that we can move up the ladder? Let me look at let's look at that contribution with insights.
I think Robert Cronin, he has sent a lot of PRs
Yeah,
on the backends.
yeah. I also think Robert has done some good feature work and also some
Yeah.
good reliability work.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think
Yeah.
Nathan also has done some work, right?
Nathan, yeah. Yeah, he was doing all the REST API stuff. I basically maintain the in-memory one also.
How do I look at? 1 second. So let's look at Robert's one. I know he touched a bunch of different things. Overwriting, collect. So he did a bunch of collector stuff. A bunch of client stuff as well. And some backend stuff. Let's bring up the list of things that contributing. Let's see the list of topic areas. Oh, there we go. Ingest API backends, front end clients. I'll say ingestion. I feel like ingestion, and I'm not sure the clients is a good one. Like he wrote the OCI registry collector, the end of life collector.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, he touched clients also, the GraphQL client, the CLIs and stuff like that. So yeah, those two sounds good. I think didn't he do the OCI certifier, right? That was a certifier. He made changes to the end, I think, for that too, actually.
yeah, he did also some backend changes, but I think that was part of the license issue. Yeah, I would say CLI and ingestion.
Yep, I agree.
Okay. Let's see what Nathan's contributions are. Wait, no, sorry, wrong page. I want to click on this one.
Been a lot of bug fixes and API and key value, which I don't think is merged yet. Is it? Yeah, delete
Client
functionality is not merged.
operations. I think more client stuff, right? I mean, client and backend stuff.
Yeah, client would be good to start with.
Yeah, because I feel like he did implementation, but not so much API design,
Yep.
which I think falls more into the backend category. Okay, so are we saying backend and clients?
Backend for key value, probably.
So the key values work has kind of had some problems, like the delete
Yeah,
stuff.
it's not merged yet. Yeah.
It's
Okay.
got some fundamental issues. I would say client only.
Okay. And so let's pick up a few other features that he did for this one. CX fast capture. No. Bound CLI. This one looks good. This is not client, right? This is still okay. Yeah. Yeah, this one's a client one. I think these few also. Okay, I think that's enough. Oh, sorry, I just realized I wasn't sharing my screen. Okay, and then I think that's also the doc side of it, right? Documentation, web marketing. I want to say we should bump Ben up on the documentation side, right?
Yeah, I think there's actually there was a ticket open for it. I just never actually followed up on it. I think everyone was like, "Yeah, sure, fine, whatever."
Okay, let's just bundle that in then. Can you put that PR in the notes?
Yep.
Thank you.
Looks like it only ever got 2 upvotes, but I'll put that in the notes right now.
So Nathan we said on clients, Robert we said for clients and collectors. I'm assuming we're all gonna just do plus review. Ben, what's yours for owner? Okay, reviewer, yeah.
I'll
mean,
share your tab.
Oh, sorry.
I'll let you bump me straight to owner on the docs as well if you wanted to. But and I was also preparing to ask for reviewer on visualizer, but maybe I should stop breaking things before I get that.
We should get a demo on the visualizer stuff. I don't think we've seen it for a while. So maybe that's actually, yeah, Ben, could you do a demo on the stuff you've been working on for visualizer? Or if there's anything interesting that you think
There's
it's
not much since I think was it the September community meeting. I think we showed off some of the updates. So I think it's mostly uneventful since then.
Okay. Okay, let's do this for now. Let's look at GUAC docs real quick. GUAC docs.
Oh, Brendan, real quick, the looks like Lucas fixed the timestamp thing, so that one should be ready for your re-review if you want to give your approval.
Okay.
So we can get that one merged before the meeting ends.
Okay, one sec. Apply additional metadata. I'm gonna take a word. I didn't look at it. Okay, approved. Let's see here. says syntax. No, this is not right. Actually, I think based on Ben's contribution for docs, I feel like this is owner quality, right? I feel like you're already reviewing stuff from people requesting the right changes. Do we have any other? Oh, sorry, I didn't see the hands and stuff like that. I would vote for just bumping Ben up to owner for this one. I think
Yeah.
he's doing the work already. So okay. I didn't get whether Mihai had a thumbs up on okay, cool.
Mihai said no.
No, Mihai.
He doesn't approve.
No, it's up.
Okay, let's do that then.
Mihai said he wants to manage docs from now on. So, right. So.
That's gotta be it. No way. I lost my tab for my meeting notes, but where's my meeting notes? I lost it. I have too many. I have a tab problem.
This is the week where you should be cleaning your tabs out.
You mean hitting the cross, the red cross?
Or bookmarking them, be like, I'll read it later, and then never reading it ever again. So you have 1,000 bookmarks.
Okay, I just opened a new tab. That solves the problem. So it's okay, I'm happy to take this on unless somebody wants to take on the contributor ladder.
No, go for it.
Friday. Sounds good. That's a great job. You just deliver good news. Okay. We have 5 minutes left. Anything else? Oh, do we want to have this meeting next Monday, given everyone's going to be kind of off Thursday, Friday? I don't know whether the food coma is going to last until Monday.
Well, I know Dayon was wanting to come in and talk about some of the refactor stuff from Red Hat's perspective, and kind of engage with that. So if we have critical mass, I think we should keep it.
I'll be around. Cool.
We'll make some extra coffee for everyone.
Cool. Anything else? No. Cool. Sounds good. Reminder for some submissions. Cool. All right. See you, everyone.
Yeah.
Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Okay, bye.